Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kakasungura YouTube channel. A big thank you to each and every one of you for your continued support towards the growth of this channel. Kaka, if you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed, kindly make sure you click the subscribe button. And above all, remember to turn on the notification bell. This is important because once I upload a video, YouTube is able to automatically notify you. Kaka, I have been saying there are two realities that you cannot erase from the Kenya Kwanza government. Number one, Kenya Kwanza government is on a looting spree. That is point number one. Point number two, Kenya is on a borrowing spree. Let me defend my sentiments. Last year in September, Kenya had an opportunity to hold the Africa Climate Change Summit. But it was Africa Climate Summit. Yeah? Last year, September. If you remember very well, William Ruto took his personal time to popularize the summit, to convince African presidents on why Kenya is supposed to host this summit. Ladies and gentlemen, such summits, all of us know, are heavily funded by the international governments or international bodies, heavily funded to a tune of billions of shillings. But you know, little did we know that all these things William Ruto was doing, he was in business. I will argue my case. Listen to me carefully. All these things Ruto was doing at, I'm helping Kenya on climate change. Oh, I'm helping Africa on climate change. There was nothing like that. The president was in business. He was it's a man on a mission of making profits from the summit. And I will tell you how. The Kenya Kwanza government used the summit to loot public funds. And I will give you facts. The Principal Secretary for Environment, Festus Ngeno, yesterday faced members of parliament from the Kenya Kwanza coalition and from the Azimio coalition in the parliament to explain how the funds were received and how they were spent. Those people who watched the conversation, you can agree with me that the Kenya Kwanza government, or let me not say the Kenya Kwanza government, Ruto himself looted the funds that were meant towards the summit. I'll tell you why I believe so. I do not have critical evidence, but I'm using the available details from the PS to tell you why I believe, why I am convinced that these funds were looted. As much as the summit happened, yes, we agree, but much of these funds went into people's pockets. I have no proof. I'm only using the available data from the PS to tell you how the funds were looted. Now, point number one. The PS is telling members of parliament that they went to the treasury, they requested to open a separate bank account to receive the funds. 3.9 billion Kenyan shillings. The treasury granted the request from the president. That is PS, telling parliament. When Ruto was granted the request to open a private account, they opened it, and the same account received to a tune of 3.9 billion Kenyan shillings. Ladies and gentlemen, the account, according to Ngeno, was being operated based on instructions from Ruto himself. So you couldn't spend if Ruto hasn't ordered. You couldn't do anything if Ruto has not ordered. Simply, Ngeno is telling the public the account ilikuwa ya Ruto. In short, because everything that was resonating, revolving around that account, everything that was revolving around that account was directed and approved by William Ruto himself. MPs wanted to know the expenditure of the 3.9 billion and the possible balance that is remaining in the account. But listen to what Ngeno said. The PS told the members of parliament that the person responsible to give those answers, it is William Ruto himself. Why? Because the account was influenced by Ruto, the expenditures were being done by Ruto, and everything in that account was done by Ruto. So if there is a person who is able to give the balance and the expenditure, it's Ruto himself. Go and ask him. In simple terms. Now, Kaka, I have two questions. Number one, why didn't the treasury receive the funds for accountability purposes? Because once treasury receives the funds, when the summit is over, they publish the expenditure and the possible balance, because those are public funds. Now my question is, why didn't the treasury receive the funds? But we know it's Ruto who refused, according to PS Ngeno. Question number two, why did the treasury grant permission for the president to open a private account away from the public accounts in the treasury that are known to operate public resources? Those are two tough questions that I'm looking for answers going forward. Now, I want to give you 4 truths from these funds, 3.9 billion. Truth number one, the cash was received by an individual, Ruto. According to PS Ngeno, I am arguing based on answers given by PS Ngeno in Parliament yesterday. So from PS's responses, 4 truths are coming out. Number one, it's clear the funds were received by an individual, Ruto himself as a person. Truth number two, there was no accountability that was done in the expenditure because nobody was allowed to leak the expenditure and the documents of expenditure. Because if at all there was accountability, then PS Ngeno could have presented comfortably the documents to the members of parliament. Failure to produce the accountability documents means those funds were operated by an individual, a powerful individual who is William Ruto. Point number 3. No one except William Ruto, according to PS Ngeno, is able to tell the expenditure and the balance in that private account. Hakuna mtu except Ruto himself. The last truth, number 4. In short, Ngeno is confirming to parliament. In short, Ngeno is confirming to the public. In short, Ngeno is confirming to the sponsors of those funds that yes, the funds were looted. Why? The ministry, the PS is the accountant of the ministry. The PS is the admin of a ministry. Is the one who is responsible for hiring and firing the staff. The PS is the one responsible for approving ministry funds. The PS is the one responsible to make the book to prepare books of accounts for accountability purposes. So by environmental PS Ngeno refusing to reveal how the money was accounted for, why? He is the accountant in the environment ministry. By refusing or by failing to give those documents, it simply confirms the funds were looted by an individual who is very powerful in government and who is probably Ruto, because Ngeno didn't hide. He said from his submissions, he was very categorical and very clear. Kila kitu kwa hii akaunti ilikuwa kwa mikono ya Ruto. Mimi sijui kitu. Now, from this analysis, you are able to confirm that the leader of wastage in government is the president himself. Few days ago, Ruto said there is a lot of wastage in government corporations and agencies. This confirms to the public that Ruto is the class monitor of wastage. Ruto is the chief principle of wasting public resources. I am speaking this without any fear of contradiction. Why? Because the PS himself has laid bare all the details in the public through the parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot agree with me. There are some two truths in government, and I will repeat it until Ruto gets out of power. Truth number one, Ruto is on a looting spree. Ruto is on a borrowing spree. You cannot erase those two things from the Kenya Kwanza government. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. See you in the next video. See you next time. Asanteni sana.